I've saved my progress as bigpointtext.ai found inside the O8 type folder. Notice that I have my great big old point text selected, and it's currently set in Myriad Pro, as you can see in the character panel. That's not what I want at all. I want to work with Trajan Pro, which, as I mentioned earlier, ships with many versions of Creative Suite 5. And in order to switch to that font, I could click inside of this option to bring up this pop-up menu. On the Mac, you will see font previews. Here on the PC, I don't. However, I could then cycle down the list and miss it, actually. Go back up a little bit, find Trajan Pro and click on it. That's kind of the sucker's route, though. I'll show you better ways to work. So I'm just going to go ahead and escape out of that menu for a moment. The other thing you can do, if you want to see font previews on the PC, you go up to the Type menu and you choose font, and then you will see each font displayed in that font, which can be helpful. Now, let's say you want those font previews to be even bigger. Well, here's what you do. Go ahead and escape out, press Control-K, Command-K on the Mac to bring up the Preferences dialog box. Switch to the Type panel like so. And then notice font previews turned on. That's a good thing. And then go ahead and switch your size from medium to large. Another thing you might want to do while you're inside of this dialog box is change the number of recent fonts. Let's say you switch back and forth between a group of fonts on a regular basis. However, it's not just 5 fonts. It's more like 10 fonts, let's say. So I'm going to go ahead and raise this value to 10 like so, and then I'll click OK. Now notice up here in the Type menu, if I choose font, I have larger font previews. Now, if you're working along with me, it may take a moment for these previews to refresh. Illustrator has to generate previews of each and every single font. The more fonts you have loaded on your system, the more time it's going to take. Notice also we've got recent fonts right there so that you can switch between your most recently used fonts. This is a really great thing if you use a small group of fonts on a regular basis. Notice it not only includes the font name, but also the style. So remember this recent font submenu. I think you'll find it very useful. All right, anyway, I'm going to switch out of there. The other option, let's say you know exactly what font you want to use, and in my case I do, Trajan Pro. Why then, you can activate the font name inside the character panel by mashing your fist down on the keyboard and pressing F for font. So in other words, that's Control-Shift-Alt-F on the PC, Command-Shift-Option-F on the Mac. Notice that goes ahead and highlights that font name, and then you can enter the first few letters of the name of the desired typeface. In my case, I'll just enter TRA. And that should be enough to select Trajan Pro. Sure enough, it is. That's awesome. Next, I'm going to tab down to my style option. And notice I only have 2 styles to select from, regular and bold. So I could go ahead and select bold, which is what I want. Or, check this out. If I press Control-Shift-Alt-F once again, Command-Shift-Option-F once again to select that font, press the Tab key in order to get the style, I can also enter the first few letters of that style name, such as B for bold. That's all it takes. And then press the Tab key to advance to the size option. All right, one more thing that's available to you Windows users. If you press Control-Shift-Alt-F in order to highlight that font name, you can also press the up arrow key in order to switch to a previous font in alphabetical order, or you can press the down arrow key to cycle forward in alphabetical order. And again, that's specifically a PC thing because the font name is sticky here on the PC, not so on the Mac. However, on the Mac, bear in mind, you've got font previews right here inside the character panel. So as Illustrator takes away, it gives back again. Anyway, I managed to switch back to the regular style. So I'm going to press Control-Shift-Alt-F on the PC, Command-Shift-Option-F on the Mac, Tab to get to the style name, B in order to switch to bold, and the Enter key or the Return key on the Mac in order to apply that typeface to my text. In the next exercise, I'm going to show you some keyboard shortcuts for changing the size and leading of your text.